So I wanted to cast some more since my previous casting video is my most popular video by far so far for some reason. And Jay actually also enjoyed it apparently because he told me in Discord that he wants to join some casting. So that's what we're gonna do. Before we start, I want to thank Niklaren for helping me set up how to co-cast. Niklaren also uploads a lot of YouTube stuff for tournaments that also like Fate games that Fate records. That's what Jay and I are gonna do as well. The game we're gonna cast is Magsad versus Solafid, and it's kind of like the finals. The way this format worked is like a pool system. Like everyone is in one group, everyone played 4 games, and then who has the most points win. So there's no knockout phase or anything. But this is still the finals of the whole event because Magsad and Solafid were the only people to go 3-0 until the last round, and this is the last round. So literally the winner of this is the winner of the tournament. The winner of this series will be 4-0, and the rest will be 3-1 at best. I'll also put a bracket link in the video description for people that are curious about that shit. And yeah, now we're just gonna talk about the deck with Mr. J. I guess I should introduce Jay a little bit, even though he's kind of famous. You know, Jay is the reason why I think he's relevant for my duelist career is obviously because all the mech decks were his that I won World Championship with, and also all the Wanderer decks that I won with were his. I did make tiny changes, but that's all. And especially with the World Cup, he helped me a lot. I couldn't have done it without Mr. J. So that's why he's here. And also, Jay has won the most duelist tournaments in the history of the game. So obviously, he's gonna know how to commentate duelist tournament games. So yeah, Magsad and Solafid. Magsad did indeed bring Magmar, what a surprise, and Vanar. Since I've been talking all the time so far, Jay, you can kick it off. What do you think about these decks?
I'm really excited for this finals because Magsad is like an unknown person. He came out of nowhere. This is his first tournament, and the first time really being on Discord. Like his Discord account was made the day of this tournament. And, for him to get this far and to actually make it to finals is really impressive because the top 4 is actually like some of the best players in the game right now. It's Solafid, me, Mini K, which is also a known player, but he won one of the tournaments, beating me and Solafid.
And Macer as
and then
well.
You have Macer too, yeah. And now you have the Magsad too, beating me before this match. I think he had to beat Mini K too, and now he's in the finals against Solafid. So for the deck itself, I think it's really interesting that he runs Ancient Grove. That's aspect of, or is it Ancient Grove?
Oh yeah, it's Ancient Grove, yeah.
Not only one, he plays 2, which I think is really fascinating. That card is really not played. I don't see that very often, and for him to pick that over Archon or something is really interesting.
I agree. It's interesting. It's definitely not something you see often. I did test it before, and it's really fun to play. For some reason, it's really satisfying to have all your walls get a Dying Wish, and then when it gets Tempest, you still have a bunch of 1/1s. Yeah. I'm personally not a great fan of Rustcaller ×1 though, because, you know, if people play Arclight Regalia or Blood Rage Mask like Solafid is, then they run 3. And that's not just a Solafid thing. Everyone runs 3 of those artifacts if they do run it. And then, you know, obviously you would have to be lucky compared to your opponent to have your one Rustcaller for any of the artifacts. And if they find a second one, you have no answer to it. To me, Rustcaller is a 3 off or no off. What do you think about that, Jay?
I personally agree. I'd rather see 2 or 3 because it's one of those cards where like you really want to see it when you want to see it. But I could kind of see the one of because Vanar is pretty good at dealing with stuff as is. They could stall Regalia with provokes and blocking off with walls and such. But I could kind of see the one Breast Crawler because it gives you a little bit more leeway if you get lucky and do draw it against Regalia or something. It won't answer the second Regalia or the second Twin Fang or whatever, but it'll give you enough breathing room to get to the later stages so you can answer the second one with more ease.
And then what do you think about not having 3 aspect of the fox in walls? Because why I like aspect of the fox in walls so much is because it's and big minion removal and proactive. Like one mana 3/3 with rush sometimes in a, not for real of course, it takes some setup, but it can be an insane tempo play, right?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of aspect of the fox. I run it over Hailstone personally in my deck. Because it's so versatile. You could play it on a wall and get a 3/3. You could hit with a 2/3 and turn a 2/1 into a 3/3. It's also 1 mana removal, which is really nice. It leaves a body, but like the body isn't as big as the tempo you get from being lower cost, I think. And then also a really key thing that actually happens that most people overlook on the card is that it's actually damage. Like Vanar doesn't have very much out of hand, and even 1 or 2 damage can matter.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That Hailstone very rarely gives burst. Like, it only gives burst if you have, for example, no Hard Sister in hand, and you Hailstone your Hard Sister to Hard Sister in somebody to hit face. Like it's very rare that Hailstone gives any burst, or like you Hailstone the Razorback or something. Um, so I think that's a solid point. Otherwise, I don't really have remarks on this deck. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, the Vanar deck looks pretty good. The only main thing that stands out to me is Ancient Grove, but I'm sure it's pretty good if he's running it. For the Magmar deck, it looks like a pretty standard mid-range deck. One of the big things is that stands out to me is Dancing Blade and Jaxi. Jaxi is definitely not played at all, especially in like a non-Abyssian type of deck. So for him to run it, I'm assuming he runs it so he can play around Harvester or AoE or maybe Tuskbore. I'm not completely sure why he runs Jaxi, but that's why I would assume. And the Dancing Blade, I'm a big fan of this in Magmar because it's hard to play around Macantor and everything that Magmar has to offer. But so while you're trying to play around all those, Dancing Blade comes in and it's this really big value body that always gets value because Magmar forces you to.
Oh yeah, that's something I find super annoying about Dancing Blades in Magmar. You cannot play around it because if you do, you play into other things that are even more punishing. It's super annoying, and it's even more annoying with Vindicator. That makes me tilt so much. If they like kill something with the Dancing Blades and then that thing just rushes into something else, it's very strong.
The Vindicator interaction is really strong, yeah. Here in this one, we see 2 Rustcrawler this time, so maybe he thinks he's a little more vulnerable to artifacts.
Yeah, even though he has Vindicator Blood Tier, which can get rid of any stack of artifacts barring Regalia.
Yeah.
And it's still good against Regalia too.
Deck overall looks pretty good to me. It's a pretty standard mid-range deck. I like that he runs Twin Fang in it too. It's a nice burst option. Sometimes you just equip it in the mirror or against Lionar and you just win. um,
Yeah, it's definitely always a very scary thing. But what do you think about 2 Spirit Harvesters though? That's something I do find weird to not have 3 of that card.
um, the way I see it is that like I don't think it's a 3 of. I do personally always run 3 because I think it's so good. I think like in almost any situation, especially flashing it out like turn 1 or 2 is insane. But I could see too, like he's mostly running it, I assume, to out Jax or these heavy swarm boards. And the way this deck I feel is going to play out is it's going to try and get a lot of tempo. It's going to try and always have a board lead, so Harvester can kind of be detrimental. He might not always want to see it.
Yeah, it does annoy yourself sometimes. I do, by the way, think I know an extra reason why Jaxi is in the list. Jaxi is actually pretty nice for pinging metamorphosis things because it's sticky. You usually don't want to hit Jaxi, right? Because then you give the opponent a Heartseeker with Rush and they can run away with it. So you can either kill a Metamorphosis Magma with the 2/1, or if you somehow get the Heartseeker, then you can kill any magma on the board, even if they play around Metamorphosis and Ekmorph. And I think that's also a reason why Bloodtear is in the list. It makes both Twin Fang and Metamorphosis a bit better. And it's also great with Vindicator, of course, but everything is.
I do kind of like the Jaxi inclusion. Like I think there probably is better stuff personally, but like it being here isn't really that bad because also another cool interaction is if you have your own harvester, sometimes the opponent will just pass because they want you to keep nuking your own stuff. But Jaxi is one of the few minions you could just play and it gets value from being hit.
Yeah, then it's basically a 2-mana Heartseeker, but that's still kind of good. That's the crazy thing. Yeah, so speaking of Heartseekers, I guess you can say something about Solafid's Spell High.
This is I think his favorite deck. He ladders with it the most, I'm pretty sure. Of course, he runs 3 of everything because he's Solafid. It's a really strong deck overall. I was trying really hard to try and find a counter to this deck. Even my Angry Solafid deck I brought. This is his Songhai deck is the only deck of his decks that he plays that could beat the Vanarg pretty consistently. Overall, it's really strong. I don't see any issue with it. Has a lot of different game plans too. Like, it has also a big thing too is it has a lot of bluffs too. Like the Heartseeker, a lot of people see a Heartseeker and freak out, but in this deck, it really isn't a big deal. But they don't know that because even though it's not actually a big deal, they'll still try and like waste a big removal card on it.
Yeah, it's total bait, but at the same time, if you don't deal with it, he does have a lot of things he can do with it anyway, even though there is no killing edge. At least from my experience playing against him, having the Heartseeker live usually means, of course, he's more likely to be able to keep your board clean. One of the big reasons is Saberspine Seal, because 4 health minions are so annoying for Spell High, right? And I also, from playing the deck myself, I really enjoyed having a Heartseeker on the board and a Saberspine Seal in my hand, and then just kill a Rejuvenator with that super cleanly, because normally, you can't kill them cleanly. These 4 health things, you always over damage or under damage, and then you have to really over damage with 2 cards, like hit with your face, and the Phoenix Fire on it feels really bad. And also Jux plays, I've noticed, are really strong when Heartseeker survives, because of course he will just want it away as far from the Songhai General as possible. And because he doesn't really care about Heartseeker in the list, because it's bait, you can just Jux an Archon far away and don't care that the Heartseeker dies next turn because it's next to the enemy general.
Another thing too is it kind of helps out the mana curve sometimes. Like going second turn 1, you can play Fox and Heartseeker, which provides a lot more tempo. It's a lot more threatening. Stuff like that, it helps a little bit.
Yeah, good point. That it really helps getting more fires and not having task board die and not overdrawing after some Heaven's Eclipse turn. Also, in rare cases, I notice it's nice to have like the cheapest possible minion that can hit the general anywhere on the board with an inner focus, no matter if the enemy general has provokes around them. You can always hit the enemy general's face, so it also gives a bit more consistency for finishing off the game with Heaven's Eclipse, I've noticed.
That is very true. Overall, his Songhai deck is, I think, his most comfortable deck. I think it's very solid overall. The deck that I'm super interested in is his Lionar deck. It's a pretty standard, in my opinion, mid-range deck, other than it runs Magnetize, which is not very common. I'm a big fan of Magnetize, but the big thing for me about this deck is that it's Solafid not running 3-ofs of everything.
Yeah, this is not a Solafid list. That's very rare. I know he built it himself, but yeah, it's not a classic Solafid.
I kind of like it more personally because I don't think Magnetize is a 3-of card. I think it's a card that you only want in certain scenarios, like very niche removal scenarios, or if your opponent lures your Ironcliffe across the board. So I am glad that he got rid of that ideology for this one deck and decided to play 2 of that. And it also gave him some room to play Saber Spine too.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Also because not only Magnetize is not something that is that easy to run 3 of, but also Divine Bond. I think Divine Bond is not good at 3, especially because there are only 6 big health minions, and the first 2 or 3 will probably always get answered. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of 3 Divine Bond. I'm not a big fan of Divine Bond in general, but I did lose to this list in a tournament against Solafid, one of the few, actually the only I've played so far since Duelyst came back, because Macer played for me in the other one. I did lose to double Divine Bond on Iron Cliff. So yeah, I guess I can't shit talk Divine Bond too much, but I do think it's a 2-off.
I agree too. I don't think Divine Blonde can be very clunky, especially when people are so removal heavy right now. Every Magmar player usually plays Natural Selection or like 3 of Egmorph or Metamorphosis, so it can be pretty clunky whenever you don't have anything stick. But you definitely want it to be able to lethal. And sometimes you can just hide an Archon or hide out Ironcliffe far away, and you just magnetize it in and you kill them.
Jay, in this first turn, what would you replace? I guess just Havas Eclipse, right?
Or Ghost Lightning. Ghost Lightning's not the most impactful in this matchup. It could kill eggs or blood tears, but it's really not the greatest. I'd probably get rid of Heaven's Eclipse, though. Yeah, you already have Lantern Fox.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a big chance that you will have 5 cards at the end of your turn with this clunky hand. Let's see what Solafid does. No, top deck Chakri.
And luckily, you got a 2-drop.
That's so much stronger than skipping there. Like, Chakri is obviously a must answer thing.
That's a really big deal right now. And Magsad has a pretty good turn. He played double 2-drop if he wants, which he probably will because Chakri is not that threatening.
Really? You don't think Chakri is scary? I know there's only 4 cards and not much mana, but...
Well, I just mean the contested double 2-drop play, because you don't really want to suicide it early.
Yeah.
Definitely going to be scary later on, though.
This just looks like Fox Ghost Lightning, right? I don't know what to replace here. Maybe Phoenix Fire, because you will have a Fox. And Blood Rage Mask is good against Magmar.
I'm for sure going to just replace the Phoenix Fire here, and I think you could play the Mask too. But if you play Mask, you have to put Chakri in danger, so I'd probably just go Lightning Fox and that's it.
Yeah, same. Oh, he's not replacing. I guess he wants a Phoenix Fire for Vindicator in case it gets net selected. The Lantern Fox.
He just values having the removal because he's already in a winning spot.
True.
I would personally have replaced it just to look for something a little bit better. He's got a really strong hand right now. Blood Rage is a really hard thing to answer. Luckily, Magsad drew his Rustcrawler for it, and Tuskboar is the best card in Songhai. So he's got a pretty good hand for next turn.
I do like the positioning here. Like, you see this, that Magsad couldn't steal the Mana Tile away from Solafid easily without walking into range of the Lantern Fox. I know it's kind of basic, especially for Solafid, but still good to point out for newer players. And that's why Magsad went 1 up, right?
Your screen froze for me.
Oh yeah, that's because I paused it so that we can talk more.
Oh. Okay. Okay. That clears that up. You can pause it if you want. Yeah, going only 1 up is interesting. I'm not fully sure why he did that. Maybe he wants to be a little more threatening with his general for the next turn, and maybe he doesn't want to corner himself against a wall. But actually, I do think this is more correct to only go 1 up because you are more threatening right here, and it doesn't really gain anything by going to it.
Yeah, now you're out of range of general hit damage and Lantern Fox. I guess that's the biggest reason to go 1 up. Or what would you have done?
In this turn, I would probably do the same thing. Like, this is a difficult turn for Solafid to answer without proper stuff. He needs a Tusk Boar or something. Because just alone, he can't clear the Young Solithar without another spell, and using a spell in this situation is pretty awkward. Ghost Lightning, Phoenix Fire aren't very great right here. I like this turn.
So you also don't mind playing the Rust Crawler, even though there's only 2 in the deck and Blood Rage Mask is scary?
If he hasn't played it yet, I don't think it's as big of a deal. It definitely could be nice to hold on to, but I think Magsad wants to have tempo right here because he's already facing down 2 really big threats. It's kind of hard to just pass the turn, I feel like.
Yeah, and also if they played only the Scimitar, then like Phoenix Fire on the Scimitar, something for the egg means the Chakri can go face. It's a bit harder to go face with the Chakri now. I guess that's also an advantage. Oh, Flash Archon, skill on 3 cards.
Yeah.
And meta could also be good next turn. So I'm curious if Solafid is going to replace for Juxt or keep things out of meta range and wait for Juxt later. Because just playing the whole hand this turn is already pretty good, I think. Probably Tuskboar face, or would you use that for the Scimitar? I'm not sure about these things. After actually you can kill the Rust Crawler too, which is pretty strong with your Chakri, and then you only have to play around Flash Macantor, I guess, because meta is not that great with 3 minions on board. So I think he will just clear board, play a whole hand, bring everything a bit closer to Magsad's face.
This is a really good clear for him too. Chakri's going to be exactly 4 attack. It's going to be 3 HP after it hits, so he can't even clear it the general. And he gets a free clean kill on Young Solithar too. So he's in a really commanding spot right now. Metamorphosis is going to bring him back, Magsad back. But I think overall Solafid still has tempo. If he draws a Heaven's Eclipse here, he's going to still be winning, I feel like.
Yeah, and he will have a lot of cards anyway, I think, because he's drawing 3, there's Lantern Fox, and after meta, he'll either get the Tuskboar back or a scary Chakri if he chooses to hit the Lantern Fox. So actually, to me, it looks over. Do you think it's still possible to win?
It is very hard for him right now. Like, there's no card I could think that single-handedly comes back right now here. So he can meta, it'll reset the Chakri, which will buy him some time, and it'll let him clear the Fox. It'll also prevent a Tuskboar for 1 turn. It's not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally agree with you. I think it's very hard to come back from here. I don't see a way, but maybe. He's still very healthy.
And he does choose to clear the Chakri instead.
It's interesting.
Oh, good song I hand.
The more Tuskboar you have, the more you're winning.
That's how it works. That's how you song I. Oh, he can totally box him in now. I mean, it would still suck potentially. Yeah, because of Macantor, it will suck. If you could put Kalios here, then it wouldn't suck, but... So
he's got a full surround to play around Macantor here. But you're definitely right. Kalios should have been where the... Did he have surrounded if he put Kalios there, though? Wasn't Fox 2 down?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't possible because it was here, so it couldn't walk into any of these spots. And I thought this would suck because it would just hit the Magma Macantor, but I realized I'm an idiot because this will just go back to being the regular minion with more than 2 health. So this definitely doesn't suck. three Tuskboars could go back to his hand.
That's scary.
Mm.
But he has to clear this entire board. He's like Plasma Storm. That's the only card that saves him here.
Yeah, and he doesn't play it, so he lost.
This is a really scary spot. To even play Macantor or anything, he has to take 3 extra damage too, and then like the Mecanter isn't even good here. It's going to clear 2 minions, and the minions also get value anyway.
Yeah, just give a fire. Yeah. Even if he had Plasma Storm here, I think he would have still lost, because Heaven's Eclipse would pretty much set up lethal over the next turn. You could even just not play the Heartseeker if you like draw a lot of Saber Spine Seals or something, and then just keep it for the next turn with Inner Focus. So, but yeah, they also don't play Plasma Storm, so it's pointless to talk about this. Do you want to say something before we go to the next game?
Nope.
Okay.
Solafid played his hand pretty well. He did well with what he had. And Magsad unfortunately didn't have the correct answers that he needed.
Solafid has Tuskboard this time and Chakri. I would personally play the Chakri because I don't think stealing the Mana Tile without the Heartseeker is good at all. What do you think about that, Jay?
I agree. I don't think Magmar particularly wants to play double 2-drop. His 2-drops want to stay in hand, Blood Tier, and Restcrawler. They don't really want to just be played for tempo if you can help it. And Chakri is really threatening.
Yeah, it's really awkward, right? Like to have net select, which Magsad doesn't play. And that's pretty much it for answers, besides Flash Spirit Harvester as player 2. I think that's like the only answer, which is pretty scary. So I'm actually, maybe we should be surprised that Magsad is not playing Venar this game. Should we be surprised?
Maybe he doesn't think his Venar would do well into Songhai either, because it kind of has some late game to it. It has 4 or 6 plus cost cards. Maybe he just feels more confident in Magmar, seeing as his name is Magsad.
Yeah, and Magmar is pretty strong. Also, it's much better if Solafid does choose to switch to Linar. Maybe that was also a consideration.
I think both players here have pretty good hands, though. Like, hopefully it'll be a lot better than last game, because both of them actually have plays that they want. Like, Magsad has on-curve play as Vindicator into Veteran, or he can just flash out Veteran if he wants. And then...
But don't you think...
has a turn 1 play?
Don't you think tempoing out Vindicator is bad against Songhai? Like, you can, of course, walk here and then put the Vindicator here to play around Boar, but it doesn't play around like 2-drop here, Boar, and also Phoenix Fire exists. Or do you think you should just keep the opponent busy because it's Songhai?
Personally, in this hand, I would just replace Vindicator, because, like you said, it's just going to get Tuskboard. His Chakra is going to move in range where the Tuskboard could always reach it.
And then if you get nothing useful from this, you just play like Windblade Adept with an egg.
I would just flash out Veteran here, and hopefully you get another 2-drop too.
Oh yeah, that will be very strong, especially if it's Mystic. That will be the broken opener, right? Mystic with that.
That'd be crazy. Natural Selection's pretty good, but I don't know if he runs it. I don't think he does.
No, the only removal in this deck is Metamorphosis. That's why this Chakri is so scary, I think.
This Chakra is definitely pretty scary. It's really not easy to answer for Magmar. They have to kill it with damage, because Metamorphosis for a 2-drop really isn't that great a value a lot of the time. Like, you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, definitely not. And even Eggmorph, which he's not playing, it really sucks on it still.
Okay, so Magsad values his flash a lot. He was the way he sees it is he probably already has a turn 1 play, which is Vindicator. I don't think it's the greatest, but forcing a Tuskboar isn't bad either. And this also allows him to flash out an Archon next turn, or potentially flash out Harvester this turn.
Well, what do you think about this positioning, though? Because with the current Solafid hand, he couldn't Tuskboard this if Magsad went here and put the Vindicator here. Or do you think it's too passive and Magsad made the correct play?
I think the cornering makes Solafid have to do something a little more awkward. He could still reach it with Tuskboar, but it would make Chakri have to go in the center tile, which is a lot more awkward. But I guess he kind of thinks that he needs to be slightly more aggressive with it. Maybe he needs to reach the top tile with the Vindicator. Because if the Vindicator is in the very corner, whatever he rushes out can be body blocked.
Yeah,
Say the Chakri takes the top tile, then he puts diagonally down right minion. He can body block whatever Vindicator rushes out, so maybe he's playing around that.
so you mean if Vindicator was here, you go 2 up with Vindicator. Then if you rush here to hit the Chakri, you could play a minion here to body block the Chakri, right? And it also blocks Vav as well. Well, Vav would be here, but still.
So I think this is alright if he's really hoping to kill the Chakri next turn.
I guess that's why he put it here, right? Because he's so scared of Chakri. That's what you're saying?
This play plays around him body blocking, basically.
Yeah.
That's all I could see the potential out of it. Cornering it, I would probably do instead because it makes Solafid's turn more awkward, but I could see the merit in this too.
Yeah, because if he did do that, the cornering the Vindicator, then actually he can clear it, but then he has to blow an inner focus with the current hand. He could also top deck a minion that allows to go here anyway, but quite curious what he will replace actually. I find it pretty hard here what to replace. Could even just not replace anything and just play these cards. Well, without inner focus, I would say.
Actually, ignore what I said earlier. Cornering it actually doesn't even do anything awkward for Solafid because he can just move his general to the middle and he can still reach with Tuskboar. So, so I think the position he had here, either that or one more up, would have been better, or would have been the best, which is what he did. Because now he could actually prevent the body blocking issue I talked about earlier.
But Jay, the cornering the Vindicator does do something if you go here with Vav. If you walk here with Vav and put Vindicator here, then Tuskboar is body blocked. Then they need a 2-drop or 3-drop with Chakri walk like this to put here, and then they can Tuskboar it. So you force them to have 2, 3, 1-drop. And 1-drop would be pretty bad because you would put a Heart Seeker here or here or here or something. So what do you think about going like this? Vav here, Vindicator here.
I see what you're saying now. I think that's actually not a bad idea, but I think giving up the board completely like that just to maybe protect from Tuskboar is kind of risky because if he has any 2-drop or Heartseeker, he runs a good amount of them. He could reach it anyway. It also juxtaposition, like he has 9 or 10 outs to it right now, even if you do that. So you'd be giving up a lot of board space to maybe hope he doesn't draw a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a good point also that you say juxt, because now if you want to walk into the mana tower with your Chakri and juxt to kill this with your general with a Saber Spine Seal or Ghost Lightning or something, then at least Chakri cannot go face the same turn because there is a space. They could still juxt, but then they can't walk into the tower with Chakri first. So that's also an advantage of not having this next to your face, I guess, when the mana tiles are still up. There's no jugs in hand though, but yeah, I'm curious what Solafid replaces here. For me, it's not clear what to replace. What would you replace here, Jay?
I'd probably get rid of Inner Focus. This is a really awkward hand if he doesn't find something else, because Tuskboar Blood Rage isn't bad, but it's not greatest right now. You kind of want more threat. I feel like.
Yeah, especially
knowing
because...
Solafid.
Sorry?
Well, I was just going to say, knowing Solafid, he's probably going to keep the whole hand, because Inner Focus does have a lot of future potential, but I think finding something a little bit better than just playing a Blood Rage Mask right now is better.
Yeah, and what is also awkward about Boar Blood Rage Mask is that you cannot deny this mana. That's also pretty awkward, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you could, if you put the Tuskboar here, hit face, like walk here, hit face, and then waste the Inner Focus, which does push this above Spirit Harvester, which is cool, I guess. And then you empty your hand for Avis Eclipse next turn. You could like run away the Chakri to play around Flash Macanter, like go 2 back, 2 forward, and yeah, just bank on getting jugs from this or from draws, or because yeah, if you play around Metamorphosis and Agmorph and like Magsad, they're not playing Net Select, then this thing cannot really be answered, and that's pretty scary.
It is. It looks like he is going to keep the whole hand.
Yep. just like you said.
Solafid likes to do that. If he has an okay hand, like if he can play his hand, he's gonna play it. He doesn't really like the high roll too much. So if he has a playable hand, he's usually always gonna play it.
This is a very surprising play, though, to me. I don't know what's happening at the moment. I guess just to push it above Spirit Harvester and General Hit, both of those, and deny the mana. But still, I would like to hear your expertise on this, because I would have never thought about this play, which is something Solafid does a lot with his spell. He makes a lot of unique plays that really work out for him all the time.
I guess he really values denying the tile, which makes a lot of sense because Magsad runs six drops. He runs 3 Archon, 3 Mechanictor. So denying that is pretty important. Well, actually, he's on 4 mana.
Yeah, so that doesn't matter for the Flash.
Yeah, it's playing around Harvester then, which actually is a pretty big deal because you don't have to give up your positioning to deal with Tuskboar in that way. It also helps deal with Chakra.
But what do you think about the play that I was thinking of? Either you keep the mana tile open and just run Chakri back, Tuskboar the Vindicator, or you deny the tile with the Tuskboar, hit face, inner focus to kill the Vindicator, Tuskboar is dead, and Chakri is here, General is here. You did 1 ping damage with the Blood Rage, like already happened. What do we think about that? 2-3 Chakri here, Kalios here, Tuskboar is dead, mana tile is taken. Do you think that will be better? Because Flash Harvester would still suck a bit, right? Just hit the Chakri, and also Flash Mechanictor is maybe the play next turn. It's not great, of course, because you don't hit face, but it clears board at least. I think it's probably just stronger to hit Boar, Flash, Archon, though. What do you think?
For your initial play that you're talking about, I think that could work too. That's definitely a viable option. I still feel like I like Solafid's play a little bit more because even if he does play a Harvester and it leaves Chakri with 1 HP, it still kind of makes Chakri irrelevant for the most part. And it forces Solafid, who has a pretty low hand already, to waste stuff like Juxta to even get Chakri in range to deal with the Harvester. For Magsad's turn, I'm probably just flashing out Archon.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that too. I think that's much more tempo positive than Flash Mechanictor to clear board, and then they still have Blood Rage Mask, and you have no board, and they have 5 mana if they want.
Yeah, like you could flash out Mechanictor too, but it's not very great. I don't think Flash Mechanictor is necessarily very good in general. And you're not in a big deal of threat right now. Like Chakri isn't huge. It's probably not going to be huge on 4 mana unless like Solafid gets extremely lucky. So flashing out Archon to pose a threat is really important.
Yeah, and it's like a tempo positive way to deal with the Blood Rage Mask and the Chakri, right? Because Blood Rage Mask and Chakri are not that scary when everything is more expensive. Are you surprised that he puts it out of range of everything? Because I am. I think you need some kind of pressuring, but I guess the reasoning is I want your spells to be more expensive for the rest of the game. I don't want you to be able to like double Saberspine your seal, double Saberspine seal your face and clear it, because then I have no board, and 7 damage doesn't really matter for Kalios. What do you think?
I would do the same play Magsad did here, because in general, I think protecting your minions is better than putting them in danger when you don't need to. Because if he puts Archon in range of the Chakri right now, all it would take is a Saberspine and like any spell, and you could kill it for a 2-drop. So I don't think that risk is very great. And also, Solafid's deck really struggles against Archon in general. The 1 mana is really affecting him right now. He has to waste the general positioning. Like, he has to put his general in a very bad spot to even play Heaven's Eclipse this turn.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And something that you convinced me this is better than putting it aggressively. And something that I also realized, which is pretty cool about this positioning by Magsad, is juxing the Chakri to put this in range of your general, like they cannot jux this and hit the Archon both with Phase and Chakri. Like if that's necessary to clear it, it's not possible at the moment, right? Yeah, because you either have to walk first and then juxt, which means you can't walk into the Archon. And if you jux now so that you save the movement, then Vav body blocks the Chakri, the Archon with the Chakri. Do you think that's relevant?
Jax, I don't know if it's really that relevant. It could matter because that would be your one extra spell. Like let's say Solafid's hand was Heaven's Eclipse, Saber Spine, Jax right now. It would save you from that because you do need a second spell proc to actually kill the Archon, and wasting a Jax like that, it saves you from that. But overall, I just think protecting your minions is better.
Yeah, and what is really annoying now, I think, is that you also cannot jux the Chakri with the Archon, and then like this Chakri cannot connect with Archon with juxed because of this diagonal positioning without another minion, which Solafid doesn't have at the moment, because this actually clears Archon if Chakri could connect with Archon, right? Because this is 3, then this is 4. Yeah, this would have 4 damage. So this would clear Archon now if Jux could actually connect with the Archon. So I guess they have to replace into Heartseeker or something, but maybe Solafid will just play Heaven's Eclipse, then replace. What do you think? What is the correct replace? Should you replace?
I am most likely just going to take the tile and play Heaven's Eclipse this turn, so you can wait until after the Heaven's Eclipse to replace one of the Phoenix Fires or whatever you draw that isn't very great. I would probably just play Heaven's Eclipse and replace after.
Okay. That's what I would do too. So, just boringly agreeing here. Let's see what Solafid does.
Magsad's got a pretty good hand against Songhai. Like, Veteran Sulthar is very hard to deal with, especially when you already have an Archon. He has Metamorphosis for any crazy plays. He has Restcrawler for Blood Rage. All set.
Are you surprised that Solafid takes this tile instead of this one to potentially have his Eclipse? Oh, okay, he's not playing Heaven's Eclipse this turn. He's just going face, yeah. Do you agree with this?
I can see this play. I think it's another option. It's a lot riskier, I feel like. Because the reason I would Heaven's Eclipse last turn is because you have Jex to always put Archon in a bad spot regardless, no matter what. But I guess he really thinks he needs to end the game quick before Magsad starts playing another Archon and outvaluing.
Then what would you do this turn? Because the most tempo positive would be, he still has a Blood Rage mask, so I think actually Vetziltar and Crawler is better than answering this. Then like you can put the Crawler here because it's the least threatening. Put Archon here because then it, well, if you walk, yeah, he can run away from it forever anyway. So I guess put Archon here so that Chakri cannot connect. Then either walk to up and put Veteran here to block, or go here and put Veteran here to block. In that case, I would prefer to go here, just so that Chaos cannot hit face. They're kind of low after all, and I don't think they can play Mystic this turn. Or would you just meta to get rid of the Chakri?
I think playing anything but meta this turn is really risky. Crawler plus Veteran to block is fine too, because your Blood Rage is also a really big threat. But I think if you leap the Chakri up this turn and your opponent has like Jux, like Saber Spine, or Phoenix Fires and stuff, it's a lot of damage. So I just personally think Chakri is a big threat, and Metamorphosis really doesn't have too many threats. It has either Chakris or Lantern Foxes usually, and you could use it on 4-wins that are hidden, but it's not really that great either.
Yeah, it's just a pseudo stun against hidden 4-wins, so I agree that's not really great. I think I would personally do the Rustcaller Veteran Silator play because they just play the Jux and they have only 3 cards. Because it's really passive, right? To 5 mana removal, still take 1 damage, pass, and there is still Blood Rage Mask, which just like Chakri does 1 damage per spell. So this plus this means you answer one of the 1 damage per spell cards, and potentially also this one because it's blocked. Of course, the only problem is Juxed, because then this does more damage than Blood Rage Mask the next turn, but like they won't even have enough mana for Heaven's Eclipse and Juxt because of Archon. So yeah, they would have the second / third Juxt in 3 cards. For that reason, I would play the 2+4 play, but
I think that plays good too. It's also a very good play. Both plays are kind of not the greatest regardless, because either way you're leaving up a threat. But I think that's definitely a way to win the game a lot more than Metamorphosis. I'm just a little bit scared of Chakris right now. If you do play the 2+4, I would play Rustcrawler on the tile. I would move 2 up with my General, 2 down with the Archon, and then I would play Veteran 2 up from Chakri. You're protecting, yeah.
To block here, yeah. But you also said that you would put Archon here, so don't you think it's bad that the Chakri can probably kill off the Archon, like with a Phoenix Fire or something, or Saber Spine Seal? Because you can also put Archon here.
You can put it there too. I think either's fine. I personally would kind of want him to trade the Chakri. Like, I'm really scared of Chakri in this position. I don't really want it to live.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's better to sacrifice this for this. At this point, 12 health, pretty spooky. I do like that. Sorry?
I think putting it diagonally, like you said, is fine too, though.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you would agree with that, because earlier you agreed with the protective play. And Magsad goes for the more passive play. Solafid can run away from Archon for a long time. So I'm imagining they're just gonna play Heaven's Eclipse and draw only 1 card, which is a bit unfortunate, but it can set up lethal if you get good pulls, like Inner Focus. Oh, he's gonna play 2 threats. The thing that I don't like about this is Spirit Harvester, but that's about it. It's good otherwise, I think. What do you think?
I think it's pretty good. Even if he Harvesters here, it's really not the biggest deal. Like, compared to like just playing another Archon. Another Archon is really what he's scared of. Or, yeah, pretty much just Archon.
So do you think Magsad should play the next one?
Archon, yeah, I would for sure would.
What do you think about puking the hand? Because then you can answer the Blood Rage Mask, heal for 2, and like a 4/5 and a 3/4, like diagonally like this, to contest this thing. Like put a Crawler here, make it a 3/4. Put the Mystic here, make it a 4/5. Oh wait, it's a 3/6. So maybe you put the Rustcrawler here, so that it's harder to. The 6 health thing will be here. Then it will be hard to clear this and run away from Archon more. What do you think about that? Like Mystic here, you'll face Greater Fortitude it, Rustcrawler to get rid of Blood Rage, and Fortitude the Crawler, and keep this for your next turn play.
That play is fine too, but I personally would still rather Archon, because if you have 2 Archons on the board, it's really hard for him to actually even play spells to make use of Blood Rage and Chakri. So likely his Blood Rage isn't going to do much next turn regardless, maybe 1 or 2 damage. And also, I feel like Archon just threatens a lot more. You kind of have to answer both in Spell High to actually play the game, and next turn you still have your Fortitudes for out-of-hand damage too. So another Archon mainly just threatens to kill in the game a lot quicker.
Yeah, I do agree with your reasoning, because we see this Mana Vortex in their hand. With 1 Archon, you can still play it. It's just 3 cycle and 3 damage with Blood Rage Mask and Chakri if you play a spell after it. It doesn't ramp anymore, but it's still a spell trigger. But with 2 Archons, it's pretty bad. You spend 2 mana to ramp 1 mana. That's pretty silly. Maybe you would replace a Greater Fortitude here first then, or?
I'd probably get rid of a Fortitude, yeah.
Okay, let's see what Magsad does. Maybe I wasn't...
He was a...
Sorry?
Go on. If he was a little bit less healthy, I would probably get rid of Rustcrawler or Mystic, because I feel like you have a potential to just kill him if both Archons live with Fortitudes, but since he's at 25, there's no way you could kill next turn no matter what, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's no way.
I would probably just get rid of a Fortitude for heal.
Oh, he's Fortituding the Archon. And he's preserving 1. So the thing is, Songhai doesn't have the greatest punishes for pre-buffs, because well, that depends. If it's like an attack buff, only attack, like Shadow Reflect, they definitely have punishes. But if it also increases health, then at least Spell High, because they don't run OBS, I don't think they have real punishes for Greater Fortitude pre-buff, because their removal is damage. So they just have to spend an extra card to deal with your card, because it gives +2 health. So Magsad made a play that we both didn't think was correct. Like I think the second Archon was best too, and then after that I think Crawler here, Mystic here, and Greater Fortituding these 2 things was the second best play. But what do you think about this play, where he preserves 1 Fortitude, puts it on the Archon, and plays these things?
I think this play to buff up the Archon is fine, but I would definitely play the second Fortitude if I was going to do this. Because Archon's like the biggest card in this matchup, preserving it is really huge, but I think the reason he wanted to do it is because he also wants the Fortitude plus Archon next turn on one of the Archons, but I think you really need to try and end this game because you're so low. You really don't want your board to get cleared right now.
Yeah, and if you don't pre-buff the Archon but play a second Archon, then the 7/7 Archon is very unlikely to die anyway, right? Like, you don't really have to buff it when all spells are so expensive. Like, they could kill the 7/7 Archon with, 2 Phoenix Fires would be 8 mana, so they couldn't even double Phoenix Fire this and kill it off with the Heartseeker. They would have to have 2 Saberspine Seals to kill it with the Heartseeker, and then that's their whole turn. That will be 6 mana. And then they still have a 7/9 Archon here, so I'm starting to see just how good it would have been to play the second Archon.
Whenever you're actually playing the game, I call it like ignorant fear, where you see Blood Rage Masters active and it terrifies you. You see you're so low, you really want to heal. So in his mind, while he's actually playing the game, he's like, oh, I need to deal with Blood Rage. Oh, I need to heal. So I'm going to do that. But in reality, if you play second Archon, you can't do anything anyway.
Yeah, true. It's like a hidden way to answer. Like, you answer the things by developing instead of answering. You don't answer, but you answer.
I do that a lot whenever I actually play the game. It's just like an ignorance of fear. Like, you don't fully think about or know what you're going to actually face. So you're really scared of whatever threat is in front of your face at the moment.
So Solafid doesn't replace first, I think, because he doesn't want to draw the Heaven's Eclipse from the Heaven's Eclipse, right?
But yeah, it's better to replace after.
Yeah. So do you think he will replace Heaven's Eclipse now? It looks like no. Ah, okay. He wants to stay running away. He wants to be able to keep running away, I mean. That will go face then, right? Yeah, that's obvious. It's a bit sad for Solafid. He can't clear the Crawler because Crawler can now Suicide and then Mercantor can clear the Chakri. But there's no Mercantor in hand. Um, so yeah, here you can play around Jux if Solafid has no minion. If you go into the corner and put the Archon here, because yeah, obviously you have to play Archon here, right? There's nothing else you can do. You cannot answer this. Well, you can technically by Greater Fortitude this thing, but then you have to take 4 damage with Vav's face. What would you do here?
I'm for sure just playing an Archon plus Fortitude this turn, but I would probably clear the Heartseeker of the Mystic, move the Rustcrawler 2 to the right, and body block. Put the Archon to the right of his general, and go to the corner like you said.
Yeah, put the Archon here, right? Because then it cannot run away from the other Archon. But then what do you think about killing the Heartseeker with the Archon instead? Because if you go here, then Greater Fortitude on the Mystic is much more annoying. I feel like that would be one of the better targets to Greater Fortitude, because the Crawler will block the Chakri from killing this off. That does mean you can't hit with this thing. You could also Greater Fortitude the Crawler, I guess. Or Greater Fortitude the Archon that you put here, so that it's less likely to die to the Chakri. But yeah, what do you think about that option to kill the Heartseeker with Archon? And if you think that's correct, then where would you put the Greater Fort? On Archon, Crawler, Mystic?
I would probably get a Fortitude. The Rustcrawler just get 3 damage right now because I feel like the 2 damage immediately might actually matter. And if he wants to clear with Chakri, that's fine. Big reason why I want to clear with the Mystic rather than Archon. Archon is fine too, is because so let's say he removes the Rustcrawler that's above him and he moves diagonally upright. If you moved the Archon diagonally upright to hit the Heartseeker, it wouldn't be able to hit his general in that position. But if you move it to right, it could go to right next turn and hit that spot.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. Oh, but I think this is just straight up misplay this here. That Magsad allows Solafid to run away from this Archon.
Yep.
I
agree.
But what you said before is good to point out. I'll show it with my mouse in case people have problems with visualization. If Archon was here and the other Archon was here to hit the Heartseeker, then if Chakri hits the Crawler, Solafid can go here, and then this Archon cannot hit face next turn, which is something I didn't visualize myself properly, but that's a very good point. So yeah, definitely Mystic should have done that. Also, Mystic went 2 up instead of 1. Not sure if that's relevant in any way. It does put it more central. I don't know if... Do you think... I don't see if that matters, yes or no, Mystic here or here. Does that matter, Jay?
I personally think this Mystic's out of the game for the rest of the game anyway. But I think 1 up would have been a little bit better than 2 because his general is going to be at the bottom of the screen for the rest of the game, most likely. It'll be able to reach and threaten a lot more if it was 1 more down. Because right now, if the Mystic goes to right, it can't hit anything on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, you're right that if the Archon would have been here, which would have been the correct play, we both agree with that, then Mystic is still not set up to hit face, but if it was here and Archon was here, then it could hit face. So I think this is a very big misplay, actually, and this is a very minor one. And also, it's not really that much of a misplay if you put Archon here. But yeah, Archon should have been here. That would have been so awkward. There isn't even a good Jux play, I don't think, if you put it here. Like, walk Chakri to up Jux, then you can still walk away a bit, I guess, but it will be the last Jux. It will be a 2-mana Jux. Chakri wouldn't be able to hit face with that play. All spells would be super expensive. I don't see why you would put it here.
I think the reasoning he had is that he wants it right next to Chakri. That way, he could actually clear Chakri no matter what next turn. Like the Chakri can't just run 2 up and avoid the Archon if he puts the Archon 1 down. I still would body block the general because you have so much damage on board right now. You really need to end the game. Like killing this Chakri potentially next turn is kind of it's not even guaranteed to actually win the game or save you.
Yeah, and also if the Chakri goes 2 up, you can walk 2 down, and then Chakri cannot hit face next turn unless last Jogs with a minion, and you can play around Jogs without a minion in hand. If you go here, because Arkan stays here, then as long as you don't put a minion like here, then I need a minion plus Jogs to connect face, and that might not even be lethal because everything is so expensive. Like the cheapest minion would be Heartseeker, and then Jogs. That would be only 5 damage. So, and that's in 2 turns. So I do agree that even though the reasoning of I want to contest this Chakri no matter what makes sense, here would have been better, probably.
We'll see how it plays out. I can see his reasoning for it. He just wants to kill the Chakri next turn if there's no Jux or anything. But I feel like you're safe enough from that, and there's so much pressure on board.
Yeah.
Like if you don't hit face with both Archons this turn, he's going to be so healthy. Like another turn or another turn after that, it just keeps adding up, and it gives Solafid more room to find damage out of him.
So here you would replace Mana Vortex, right? Because it's 2 mana ramp for 1.
Yeah. Unless you're going to be floating 1 mana anyway this turn, but it doesn't actually even matter for that anyway. Yeah, I'd get rid of Vortex probably.
Looks like he's thinking about replacing Fox with nah, there's no way. Is replacing it Jogs? Nah, it's too expensive, the Saber Spine Seals. So I don't think it's possible to top deck lethal here. Did he replace when we were talking or something? We didn't see any replace yet. Oh, he is playing the Mana Vortex.
Okay.
Oh yeah, just to pump it high enough to be able to clear.
It gives him just enough reach, and it doesn't actually use a card because he's going to draw instead.
Yeah.
It was an interesting play. I feel like I might have just played the Blood Rage and gone face with the Inner Focuses and had Phoenix Fires in hand, but this is kind of like a guaranteed way to win, because now there's like absolutely no threat for Solafid. He has infinite turns now to draw lethal, and also he has more mana to play spells.
Yeah, he basically only needs to top deck a Chakri, and it's very lethal. Despite the Archon, I think he can still play everything and kill with Chakri top deck. And maybe also with Taskbore, like Taskbore will be 3, and then 6, and then 9, and then with the double Blood Rage Mask. Yeah, if you can play all that, then Taskbore would also be lethal. Anyway, this play I totally agree with. I didn't see anything better too. Well, did you see anything, Jay?
Only thing... Oh, no, this is fine. I like this.
So now let's see if Solafid has lethally top decked into a minion, replace the Inner Focus. So does he have mana for everything? 2, 3, 4, and this is then still 4. Yeah, he can play everything. So double Blood Rage Mask is 6 damage from the spells, 7 from Heartseeker, 10. So he's 2 off lethal, right?
Oh, the thing I was gonna say, I didn't think it mattered, is you could put the Blood Tear behind the Veteran Celithar. That way, even if he juxes with a Spore play or something, he's still body blocked in range of Archon.
I mean, like jux the Blood Tear, then Tuskball here, kill the Blood Tear, walk into the corner, right?
I'm saying if you put the Blood Tear behind the Veteran Celithar, you can't jux the Veteran away and then run into the corner.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you could jux like this, yeah, as well.
because blocking this vertical movement doesn't actually matter too much. This movement that Blood Tear is blocking right now. It could matter. Like he could get in range with like Tuskbore, Inner Focus, and stuff. Maybe he's playing around that.
But Tuskbore Inner Focus still hits.
True. or like Lantern Fox in his face or something. I don't think that actually even kills, so I'd personally rather have played Blood Tear behind the Veteran, I think. That way Archon's no matter what in range.
Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty 5-head positioning, because allowing to move 2 up doesn't actually matter at all. If anything, he walks into more damage because of the Mystic. And yeah, walking 2 up still means everything can connect anyway. And like you said, if the Blood Tear is here, then a Jux play still keeps you in range of the Archon, which is obviously relevant because it's a lot of damage. But yeah,
no, you're right. Even Lantern Fox Inner Focus still reaches, so never mind. Yeah, I would definitely just put the Blood Tear behind.
Yeah, it's definitely better. And yeah, this is 2 of lethal if I calculated correctly before, but he already replaced. So what would you do here? Just do it. Just go for the draw 3 cards at the end of turn and hope it's a Phoenix Fire and no heal. Because you are not dead, right? Or are you? 3, 5, 9, 18. It's so they're dead to Vindicator and Last Archon, but that's it. That's the only way to die, I think.
I'm probably just staying in place, hitting the Blood Tear and my hand.
Just vomit, right?
Yeah, just commit, and if to even clear the Blood Rages, he either needs a Rush Minion or he needs to hit with the Rest Crawler, and if he hits with the Rest Crawler, he can't full surround you.
But he can clear both Blood Rage masks no matter what, right? Or is there a Blood Tear position? Yeah, he can just get rid of the masks with these 3 minions, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if even if he doesn't have a rush, he could do that. But the thing that by doing that does is it puts Rustcrawler at 2 HP, so we can't full surround and prevent Solafid from playing the game. Like, the Rustcrawler would still be able to die from the general next turn. Does that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm just going face here and praying. You have 3 draws.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, right? Because it's and Fox, and Boar, and Boar, and Phoenix Fire, and Inner Focus can potentially give lethal too with certain minions, like Lantern Fox Inner Focus could be lethal easily, because you don't even need to hit face, you just get a fire. And Heaven's Eclipse is also a top deck that is likely to give you 2 damage. Or just last Blood Rage Mask. No, wait, these are literally the last Blood Rage Masks. He already played 1. This is number 2 and 3. But yeah, I agree.
There's also argument for playing Heartseeker plus Vortex, and that's it. Or wouldn't even be great either because you overdraw. Yeah, and I think you have to dump your hand because you're just going to overdraw anyway.
Then you could also play double Blood Rage and a Mana Vortex. That would also be an option for like try to set up lethal next turn, because then you keep the Inner Focus and the Heartseeker in your hand. So then you get 3 draws at the end of the turn, and if it's another Saber Spine Steel, then it's nice that you still have this plus Inner Focus. But I think it's correct to just puke the hand and hope. He did walk into 2 extra damage just to deny this mana. I guess it's because of what I said before. Vindicator Archon was the only way to die if you stay here. And wait, I think Magsad has 9 mana anyway. Yeah, so I don't think it was necessary to deny this mana and walk into 2 more damage, because now 11, 14, 16, 12. Yeah, it means that these 2 cards is lethal now. Magsad has lethal now because he walked into range of this Mystic. So, and you saw that he's playing Greater Fortitude, so you're also playing into Macantor Fortitude, and Macantor Vindicator would also be lethal. So I do think it's a misplay to deny this mana and walk into 2 more damage. Because yeah, it gave lethal. It's easy to say, right? Because we see the hand and we know what's in the deck, but still. Because denying this mana, I don't think would ever be relevant. Well, let's say it's less likely that denying this mana is relevant than that the 2 damage is. So yeah, Magsad has lethal here. What do you think, Jay? Do you think Solafid made the right play denying this mana, or should he have just stayed here and play around this lethal?
I would have stayed just because I'm in a scary spot. I feel like Phoenix Fire is probably the main way I win here. But in his mind, he's probably thinking the 2 damage doesn't really matter. Kind of don't want to get surrounded next turn in case I draw a Tusk Boar or whatever. I wouldn't have moved. I think the 2 damage can possibly matter. You're facing so much damage in face right now.
Yeah, and it will matter if Magsad sees the lethal. And it looks like Magsad does see the lethal. So we will have a final game, which is pretty fun.
Oh yeah. It's definitely nice to see the finals with 2 really good players going all the way up to the max amount of games, rather than just a 2-0 sweep.
True, especially because it's, you know, the deciding match of the whole tournament. So this is literally the final of the final. So here's the final game. And Solafid switched to Linar. Now Magsad has the matchup he wants, I think. At least I think that Magmar is very solid against Linar. Especially if you play Rustcrawler, otherwise Regalia can be a real pain, but I don't think Magsad is gonna replace this ever.
I'm really glad that he played Blood Tier this turn rather than Rustcrawler, because it doesn't really matter too much. If he plays a Windblade, both are going to die regardless. And Rustcrawler for Regalia is huge. Like, Magmar really suffers against Regalia.
Yeah, I totally agree that this answer card is too important. And like you said, it doesn't matter against Windblade. Even against Silverguard Knight, it doesn't matter that much. Yes, this survives 1 hit from Silverguard, but also does 1 less damage.
And in the case of Silverguard, another Blood Tier in his hand like he has here, it would be able to clear it.
Yeah, true.
Blood Tier.
True. And then he could play that with Jaxi. I think this turn might be Vindicator Blood Tier, because then you can kill this, but you can also just kill this with Blood Tier and this Blood Tier. Quite some options here, because you can also Vindicator Jaxi instead. But you can't really protect Jaxi, because for a 3+2 play, you have to walk the Blood Tier into the tile. Otherwise, you could have a really good turn now. Still not
you can play
a bad turn. Sorry?
Play Vindicator on tile, hit the Primus, and then Blood Tier rims into Tiger. And it's not the worst, because no matter what, he's going to trade into either face for 3 damage, or he's going to waste it. Oh, he's actually clearing the Tiger. Works too.
But yeah, if he didn't clear the Tiger, then it could walk twice and kill the Vindicator, right? So I'm not sure if I understand what you were saying correctly.
You're right, I didn't see the positioning properly. Yeah, clearing Tiger is definitely better.
No answer to Vindicator is pretty scary. Curious what Solafid will do here. Like Flash Dancing Blades with a Vindicator on turn 3 sounds broken, but because it's Solafid, he plays around it. Maybe not intentionally, I don't know.
Yeah, this is actually a really good position, because he can't even Flash Dancing Blade here.
So would you replace something here? Like, it feels bad to replace Flash, always, but, you know, Flash Dancing Blades is not really the play here, and these double 2s can also not be the play, I don't think. You can't really afford to play Rustcrawler until they play Regalia. So would you replace Flash here? I think I would, even though it would feel really bad, especially if you replace into Archon then. So maybe just replace the Dancing Blades, because Solafid doesn't really play into it anyway.
I I don't know. I think I would replace Jaxie here, and flashing out the Dancing Blade while it's not getting value, it's still, I think, better than playing double 2 here because you get to clear the Silver Guard this turn. If you really want, you could trade in the Vindicator and clear the Primus too, but I don't think that's worth it.
Yeah, that's not worth it, right? It's too good, Vindicator, and you already saw that Solafid didn't have an answer, so I'm curious what Magsad will replace here. It's not an easy replace.
It's not easy at all. Like, I think Flash replacing is fine. I think replacing Dancing Blade is fine. It depends what he wants. I think the play that this turn, if I don't find something better, is probably flashing the Dancing Blade though. This is a perfect replace.
Yeah, very skillful, very Magmar.
Something better would have been Archon, but this works too.
At least Primus Fist will get very nice value here. So I like that Solafid preserved this last turn instead of trading it into the Blood Tier or clearing the Blood Tier with his face. Like, the only punishment that could have happened for leaving the Blood Tier up was Twin Fang, but it had 4 mana, so it was kind of hard to get a good Twin Fang turn anyway. Okay, he doesn't hit with this. By the way, Magsad played this into Dancing Blades. Do you think Magsad knows that Solafid is not playing it? Because he's not playing Dancing Blades, but I would definitely have walked one back. How about you?
I was really shocked about that he kept it in place because I don't think it's actually threatening too much more being one more forward.
Yeah, that's the power of Rush.
Yeah. I think Magsad may know that Solafid doesn't really like Dancing Blade too much because if he runs it, he wants to play 3. And Lionar already has Ironcliff, and it kind of gets cloggy to run too many 5-drops. But even so, I don't think keeping it here does too much.
I agree. It's just unnecessary risk because you can still hit all the relevant spots with the rushed out minion anyway. Because you can move first, and yeah, Rush is broken, right? So
Vindicator is a very good card. It has Rush twice.
yeah, it's the only minion in the game to have Rush twice. That's crazy. Yeah, I was curious if he was going to play Iron Cliff or this, but I do agree this is better, simply because Vindicator is so good. And, you know, it's Magmar. They have no problem answering big minions in the face. If he had, like, Magnetized Divine Bond in hand, then maybe you could just cheese. Just put it here in the corner and don't care about the Vindicator. So Solafid...
Here he is. He's a very good Dancing Blade turn this turn.
Definitely. Do you think there was a way to play around it? Like, obviously, putting the Tiger here is not great because it dies on board. So can't really blame Solafid for putting it here. But was there maybe... Nah, he had to be here because of the stupid egg. Rebirth is kind of hidden OP because it limits your positioning. And you also have to play into Macanter if you want to get rid of eggs.
Yeah, Rebirth is a really strong keyword.
Do you think it's underappreciated? Because I do think so. I feel like people know it's good, but you know, now that it's kind of nerfed compared to what people are used to from one draw, I think it's still crazy. And I think in one draw it was just so fucking stupid because, you know, blood tearing an egg in one draw means you will lose on card disadvantage, even though you answered. It doesn't matter. You're still gonna lose. Oh, they choose to play into Immo. Maybe Magsad knows that Solafid doesn't play Immo in all decks, but he does have Immo now, just no 2-drop.
I don't think Immo's that big of a deal here. In fact, you kind of want him to because you don't have any removal in your hand right now. So if he plays a 2-drop Immo to clear a Dancing Blade, he's not only not doing 2 to your face, he's also not developing like an Iron Cliff, which could kill you with Divine Bond next turn.
Yeah, that's pretty relevant if you look at his hand. But here you would
In
just
this
slam
case,
Archon, right? You have no other option.
in this case, it would be Archon rather than Ironcliff.
Yeah.
If he does that, oh wow, I'm
I
really shocked about that.
I think I know why he does that. Because now Metamorphosis or Egg-Morph means he has to do it with the Dancing Blade, hit the egg or the magma, which saves you some damage. I think that's why he's doing it. Also because, you know, he has Magnetize, and if they don't have Egg-Morph or Metamorphosis, then this play makes it a bit easier to run away with it even more and just keep it on board, not have it contest anything until you have a Magnetized Divine Bond combo that actually kills, and at the same time make cards like Flash and removal cards worse. So that's why I think Solafid put it here. I might have done this as well, not sure, because just putting it in the face is also pretty nice. So you said you were surprised. What would you have done?
I'm mainly just surprised that he didn't hit face there because he did a very aggressive hit like 2 or 3 turns ago. Like I was just like thinking in my head that Solafid really thinks he needs to end the game and kill him as fast as possible. So I'm really shocked he didn't hit face here. The Archon play itself, I think, is pretty cool. I don't think a lot of people would think of this, that it would force Dancing Blade to hit it if he metas, rather than having 4 extra damage on face.
But then about hitting face, I'm not surprised about that because this is not that hard for Magmar to remove, and then you're still very far behind, and you're Lionar, you have no board, so you have no damage. This deck doesn't have much healing at all. Like there's no what's his name? The 1-mana spell, no Sandrop Elixir or Zir for pseudo heal, and it's not heal Lionar, it's not fatigue Lionar, so I think he feels like he probably has more or meta for this. Yes, it takes the whole turn, but I'm still very far behind. I need to save my health. I think that will be the reasoning.
Yeah, it's fine to be safe like that. He probably is pretty scared because he is in a losing position for the most part. If this Archon does get cleared, but a big thing of why I would really want to hit this turn specifically is because Magmar being at 18 health here is a pretty big deal. Because if Ironcliff ever sticks, you magnetize it in. That's 13 damage with Divine Bond, and then if you MO on top of that, it's 17. So being at exactly 18 or higher is a pretty big threshold. Like he can't really die to anything out of him. And if something sticks,
Yeah,
it'd have to be like double Divine Bond or something.
That's very very good that you say that, because I didn't really think about setting up lethal, because not only the Ironcliff play you just said is possible if you hit face, but also this does 16 damage with Divine Bond. So if this sticks, Solafid already had the Magnetize, I think. So he only needs to top deck Divine Bond, and then hitting face would have set up lethal without heal and without some 5-head positioning around Magnetize. Because I think it's possible to play around Magnetize. No, that will be... No, probably not. If he had Provokes in the deck, it would probably be possible, but... Anyway, there's no Divine Bond in hand yet.
It's just it's not easy to see that either. Like you don't know that this 18 HP actually matters, but that threshold does. There's a lot of ways you could kill Magmar here if he was at 16 rather than 18.
Yeah.
Although it requires your stuff actually sticking.
It did stick, at least. What do you think about not going face with the Dancing Blades and just preserving board?
Like this. If he's going to back up like this, preserving a bigger board, that way if your opponent ever moves into you, they're really scared to do so. It also plays around Mecanter. Well, Mecanter's not great regardless, but you don't really... I don't think the 4 damage really matters as much as just having another threat.
Well, this is a powerful really turn. Yeah.
The power of Magnetize.
Yeah, like you said, when we were analyzing decks, you really like Magnetize. Well, here you can see why. Basically, Magsad doesn't play net select, that will be a way to get back into the game, but now there is no way back into the game, I don't think. I think it's over.
I think it's pretty possible if you. I was gonna say if he ran Eggsmorph. If he ran Eggsmorph, he could clear the Archon and play a 2-drop, but with Metamorphosis, it's a lot harder. This position.
Yeah, that's why I like to, in the kind of controlling Magmar, I like to have both Eggsmorph and Meta. I think they're both good cards, at least for Magmar, for control Magmar.
I don't think he's completely out of the game. Solafid could potentially be drawing like really awkward hands, or like there's a lot of awkward hands that could happen. He could have Magnetize, or Magnetize is pretty good here. He could have Divine Bonds, like a bunch of 2-drops or something.
Do you think?
So he's not complete.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so he's not completely out of the game, but it's very unlikely he can come back. But there is a chance.
Yeah, I guess I was a bit too cynical that there is indeed still a chance, also because of Metamorphosis is a big comeback mechanic, because it will not really be possible to play the Archon around it. And putting an Archon here is not very useful without the last Magnetize. So Magsad chose to play into Immo here, but I agree that was just necessary to double block the Archon, and you just hope there is no other Immo play, right? Like when you're so far behind, you just have to start gambling that they don't have stuff to be able to win.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely have to double block there. A lot of stuff could kill you.
So Metamorphosis top deck here actually brings him totally back into the game, because then I can play Meta, clear anything but the Primus Fist and Mystic. But there is no Meta top deck, so...
Has he played a meta this game? Like,
Nope.
That's really unlucky he hasn't found it yet.
Yeah, it's pretty unlucky. But you know what I will say? He's playing a 1-off Jaxi, 2-off Rustcaller, 1-off Dancing Blades. He's not playing only 3-offs. So you can say, oh, Solafid is so lucky and Magsad is so unlucky. But that deck building does actually matter. Having 3-offs of everything does make it statistically more likely to replace into meta, So yeah, Magsad got unlucky, but you can also build a more consistent deck. That's just my little roast, I guess.
This turn for Angmar is very awkward without meta. Or Eggsmorph. He could play Flash Vindicator. Can he do it? He could play Flash Vindicator Archon. But
then you also have to
really
suicide. Then you also have to suicide your Vindicator to clear it. You can also hit with your Magmar General, but then you just die next turn if you do that. So do you think that's correct, to suicide these cards into Archon and run 2 forward? Or 2 up, but that's worse, because then you're on the edge instead of in the middle.
Yeah, I think you have to here. Because if you don't, he only needs 3 out of hand, like a Mecanter or something. Actually, this is a pretty good positioning. Like, Archon doesn't even hit him here.
But they can just hit the Heartseeker.
Yeah. But I mean, like, he can't hit with everything at one time.
Yeah. But still, it was only... He needed only 1 damage. Yeah. Like, just Regalia was lethal too. We didn't even need to play the Martyr.
I think you have to hit with Vindicator there, because you're just dead on board. Preserving the Vindicator there rather than running away doesn't actually do anything. He clears the Vindicator, like, really easily. He clear the whole board really easily. So I don't think preserving the 1 HP Vindicator actually does anything there rather than running away.
I agree, and I also think that maybe the Archon could have been in a place where Arjun couldn't run away from it. That was also something I didn't like too much about the last turn from Magsad. Because yeah, it was in a spot where Arjun could just run away. But yeah, the biggest deal was, of course, that Magsad played into 1 damage of lethal on board. That was a bit too risky, even in that basically lost position. But still, it was a very good series, I think. Some pretty cool plays and pretty tight as well. Because yeah, if Magsad just had Metamorphosis at some points, then this match could have still definitely been won by Magsad.
Yeah, it was a really good series. It's two really good players. Solafid's one of the best players, if not the best player. And then you have this rising star Magsad who beat me, and I'm pretty sure he beat Benny K, who was also one of the favorites. He came out of nowhere and he did pretty well. He could have potentially won. He went 1-1.
Yeah, let's hope Magsad is back for when Duelyst releases, which is the 17th, by the way, for people that still don't know. The 17th we can start playing again. Or if you're living in Asia like myself, then you might have to wait till 2 a.m. the 18th. Sucks, but at least it's released, and even before Christmas. So yeah, let's hope. I'm sure Solafid will still be there, but I'm not sure about Magsad. But even though Magsad does play Magmar, I still hope he'll stick around.
Me too. It's nice to have more competition. I'm definitely looking forward to the 17th, though. I can't wait for that.
Are you going to play ladder a lot, or just going to play in tournaments? Because you're not that much of a ladder player usually.
Well, I usually always play at least until S rank. After that, I play more if I need to test something. If I don't think I need to test anything, I don't play anymore after that. I'll definitely do both, at least to S rank.
Okay, let's hope I can race you to S rank then. I will totally no life, so it'll be hard to beat me because you actually sleep, I think, unlike me.
We had Faroka up for like 16 hours a day streaming all the time, so you guys can definitely look forward to that.
Yeah, I will do my best to sleep before, like sleep at day, and then wake up at 2 a.m. And then I can just stream from release for those no life 16 hours again. It will be really fun.
This was a really nice casting with you, though, Faroka. I liked, especially these two players. It was really nice.
Yeah, I think I will. Every time I get some high level players to cast from Fate, I will just save them for you. And yeah, I enjoyed casting too. With you, I feel like you had a lot of useful input, which is exactly what I expected. Because you are only the Duelyst player with the most tournament titles of all time. I like this Circlejerking. It's pretty comfy.
And of course, we got the world champion who could compete with that for analysis. Although I did blunder over myself a few times, saying like incorrect stuff, but overall it was nice. I think that's it.
Yep, for me that's it too. I guess the only thing I will say is that maybe people should start going into my Discord. It's still pretty dead. We have like 18 people, which is better than nothing, but I don't like to use bullshit like Twitter and stuff. Discord is the only way I plan to talk to people that are interested to know when I'm streaming and stuff. And it would be nice if my Discord is no longer dead. So that's the last thing I want to say. And yeah, again, thank you, Jay. And let's see everyone on the 17th. That's the plan.